What's up everybody, how's it going, and welcome to this episode of Car Rant. Today, we're converting our Metropolitan from the Metro rear end to the Ruckus rear end. And more importantly, we're going to tell you whether or not it's worth it. Now, to put it simply, there are two key things to remember when doing this swap. Number one, the engine on the standard Ruckus and the standard Metropolitan is the same. And two, the transmissions are different. Basically, the long and short of it is that the Metropolitan has a shorter transmission case than the Ruckus. Reason being, it all has to fit underneath the nice, pretty fairings. Obviously, in a swap job like ours, where our vehicle's already stretched out and everything else, this is actually going to help us to achieve even more lengths by switching to the longer Ruckus rear end. It'll also help with getting lower and things like that. But the key thing is the gear set between the Metropolitan and the Ruckus. You see, on the Metropolitan, the gear set is actually set up to try and get higher speeds. Not so much in the torque department though. On the flip side, the Ruckus is definitely geared for more torque, more initial pop than our Metropolitan is. So with that said, we want to establish a baseline of where our bike is at right now. We pick a nicer day, middle of the day, that way we can go ahead and test this out and see where it's at speed-wise, how fast we can get it in the area that we're in right now, versus what it'll do once we've done the swap to the Metropolitan's new rear end, being the Ruckus rear. So clearly, based on our empirical data, which I have the numbers right here, this thing isn't, it's not the fastest, right? It's definitely in moped territory and all that. But the fact that in a given distance, it only made it up to, on its highest, 22 miles an hour, the Ruckus rear end will actually help it get higher, faster. After all, our average is basically 19 to 20 miles an hour, given that we had two runs that were exactly at 18. And our last one where we actually got a little bit more gusto because the bike was working right, to get to 22, that ought to say enough for us to go, yeah, this should be a good upgrade. Realistically, you could probably knock out this job in an afternoon and be riding it into the sunset. It's really not that hard of a deal. We just gotta make sure we do it right the first time. Also, new sticker alert, anyone? Just putting it out there, go check out our Big Cartel, link is in the description of this video. Got some really nice stickers out there. Please consider supporting us so we can help pay for things like this. And to add to the collection of stickers, we also got these dope warning labels. Check those out. And our favorite sticker of this newest drop that we added to the collection, the Love You Senpai, with a glittery hit to it. Oh, just looks so cool. I had to put it on the scooter somewhere, just not somewhere obvious. First step, get your wheel undone by taking your main wheel nut off and not forgetting to take the brakes off. Next step, before I take mine off, because I already know I'm doing this by myself, I don't have anything to prop this up. I'm actually going to go ahead and take these, the variator and the clutch bell off now and then take off my shock, just because I don't have anything to prop this engine up. I don't want to put the strain on the bolts that are here because those are still tight and I don't want there to be issues. So, you got this fancy tool. You can get that from the Ruck Shop and from Drow Sports. It's meant to pull variators, but I'm using it to pull my clutch bell as well as my variator. And I'm using the smallest possible breaker bar style setup possible. And of course, it came off just peachy keen. So go ahead and get this belt loosened up by squeezing it in. Fun little fact that I'll tell you about. You squeeze the belt, it makes it loose so that you can actually like work with this stuff and not worry about getting impacted by something. Now I'm going to be very careful removing this because there are pieces and parts, and I'm going to go ahead and brake clean a lot of this. That way on the new setup, it'll be nice and fresh. You can tell this is old clutch material in here. So eventually we'll be doing this job again for, well, a new clutch. So now this is definitely loose, we're going to go ahead and pull this out. And because I didn't mention it before, 17 mil for the variator, 14 mil for the clutch belt. Don't back up the spline, please. The spline that's right there, that connects to your crank. That you don't want to mess up, because that's how this guy took hours to get off and physically required me to yank this out in order to get that off. But with that said, we're now getting ready to put this on. We're gonna go ahead and take this brake off. We're gonna get that situated. We are also going to put the brake line on last because we want to make sure the rest of it fits correctly. I know it's sitting terribly. I'm sorry. I forgot to get wood blocks to support the frame. As you do, pretty much drop the engine down. So hopefully it didn't damage the exhaust. How you like my lowrider?
Nice.
So what do you think so far? Look how much longer that is.
I like that.
Right?
That's better.
And the gear ratio is insane compared to the Metropolitan.
Yeah.
Like that was real like long and windy. This is tight.
So toge wrap. Gotcha.
More like toge and drag because it's all torque. This caps out so fast. So in fact, I've actually heard the opposite be done. I've heard people take Metro gears and put them in Ruckus rears so they can have more speed because they do like bore kits and stuff on their standard jets.
Gotcha.
Yeah, crackhead energy, I know, but hey, whatever. We're big boys. We need that torque.
All of that around here, aren't we?
Of course. Have you met my dog? After much pain and suffering, the center chassis brace bolt, that fat long thing, yeah, that's probably it. Oh no, that's a wheel nut. Yeah, that's a wheel nut. That thing is finally in. We're now looking for the mechanism to tighten it in. That way we can hoist it up on its own stand and literally slap the wheel on after we get the brakes put on. And possibly start this for the first time with the new setup. I'm actually really stoked about this, bro. Whew. We did it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm actually nervous. It's been so long since we've done any mods that's like, that like raw, like new to me kind of sensations going on right now.
So it's warming up right now. We don't have a rear brake because we need to extend our leg a little bit. Once we extend the leg a little bit, it'll be able to stop, but we're not going to be going fast enough to really need it, so we'll just rely on the front brake if it's tight and it's on. So, there we go. Let's see what's up.
Okay, so after a little bit of break-in and some lube up, because it definitely needed some, we have 3 things to say. Number 1, I'm gonna put it out there. This was my control group, this man's right here. I had ridden it a lot, and I was kind of used to its nuances, but I wanted someone who has just kind of ridden it a couple of times, not really spent a whole lot of time, not a couple hours like me, just the knee-jerk reaction type thing. And your thoughts?
Torque.
Oh, a whole lot more torque.
You know, it's sad when one of these can actually like pull me uphill.
Yeah.
With the new setup, the old setup, it would slowly lose speed.
It would very, very, very quickly, for me, going up. There's a big hill here in my property, and that big hill, you lose all of the speed by the time you reach the top. So I'll hit it at like 20 miles an hour trying to get it. By the time I reach the top, I'm in single digit territory. This was taking him up the hill consistently, probably going, what, 10? We're having some issues with the tune because it's very cold out right now.
It was accelerating.
Oh, it was accelerating for you?
Yeah. Like taking me up the hill, it was fucked. Even because
There's your slack.
There's your slack. I had it to like there.
And it was
it was like slowly, but it was accelerating.
So that was the first thing. Number two, there's an initial pickup that this now has that it did not have before. So you would have to like wrap it a few times and it would slowly start to get going. This, wrap it once and you're moving. It's much more consistent now with the actual, I mean, we probably could do burnouts, just not right now, it's too cold, this carburetor don't like it. And third, one of the key things that this setup had wrong with it was the fact that we got speed wobble. So you would go fast enough and you would feel it kind of chug a little bit. Now it's very straight, it's very consistent. A lot of that has to do with the fact that instead of the wheel being offset to one side, it's now in line with the whole assembly. Everything about it is straight. It looks a little strange because our exhaust is off to one side, but it now is straight. All this said, should you convert your rear end from Metropolitan gears to a Ruckus rear? Yes, without question. This is way superior, especially if you're a bigger fellow like us. I'm 270, I'm not gonna say how heavy he is.
330.
Okay, we're way above the weight class for this particular vehicle, especially given its displacement, and it's still hauling us, and more importantly, accelerating uphill with our levels of weight on it. That should speak more than enough as to why you should definitely get Ruck rear. And with that said, thank you for watching. I know it's been a long time since we've ever done one of these videos, but now that it's nice and we have a garage, we can do them again. So that said, thanks for watching. Check out the merch store, help support us so we can continue to build cool stuff like this. And we'll see you guys next time. God bless and peace. Time to wash off every ounce of brake dust on this